Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, Russell travels on a train from coast to coast. The train travels at a constant rate. After 8 hours, he traveled 440 miles. Which of the following graphs represents the same rate, where x represents the elapsed time and y the distance traveled? Okay, so what do they want me to do? Well, they want for us to match the graph, right, with the same rate from the problem that is given to us, right? And they do say that x represents the time and y is going to be the distance traveled, okay? And what else is given to us? Well, I do see some numbers, right? It says 8 hours, right? That means that he already traveled 8 hours and he covered 440 miles. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, we're gonna write down the comparison, right? So I'm gonna write down x over y. And again, you can always write down y over x, it's up to you, right? Now it says that x is gonna be the time, and the time it's in hours, right? And the y is the distance that he traveled, but that's in miles. So we're gonna write down hours over miles, okay? And right now, the problem said that he traveled already 8 hours and he covered 440 miles, okay? So what I need to do, okay, I need to find out how many miles he covered in only 1 hour, right? Because if you look at the graphs and you look at x, the highest hours is 5, right? So 8, of course, is not even going to be there, okay? So let's go ahead and find my 1 hour. Now remember, to find the 1, you always divide the number by itself. So I'm going to divide by 8. And 8 divided by 8 is 1. And 440 divided by 8 is 55. So what does that mean? Well, it means that in 1 hour, right, he covers 55 miles. Okay, now you can either go and check that one on the graphs, but my advice is don't bother for that one yet because that's only one coordinate. And I'm going to write down the coordinates right here. This is x and this is y. Okay, so my first coordinate will be x is 1 and y is 55. Is that right? So we're going to find more of order pairs, right? So the way that we're going to find more will be, of course, by using my comparison here. So, of course, this is still x over y, and this will be 1 over 55. So if I want to find more, all you have to do is, you cannot divide it because you don't want decimals, right? But the opposite of dividing is multiply. So let's go ahead and multiply by 2. When you multiply by 2, we get 2. And 55 times 2 gives me 110, right? And this will be my second order pair. And my second order pair, you write 2, comma, 110. You see what we're doing? Okay, very good. Let's go find another one. So I'm going to write 1 over 55. And now I am going to multiply by 3. Okay, that gives me a 3. And 55 times 3 gives me 165. Now remember the numerator is always your x and denominator is my y. So let's write down my new order pair, and that would be 3 and 165. Okay? And we got 3 numbers. Now let's do one more. And I know what you're thinking, how many do I need to do? Well, it's going to be up to you. How many do you think that it might help you find the best answer? But we're going to do only up to 4. If we feel that we need the next one, we'll come back and do the next one. Okay? And this will be 4, and 55 times 4 is 220. So my number here will be 4 and 220. Okay, so now we need to find those points on the graph, right? So let's start with 1 and 55. So let's look at the graph A. And I look at x and I do see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're good with the x, right? Now when I look at the y, I noticed that it jumps to a 60 and then 120 and so on. So I know that then that this number has to be 830. That's a 60. This is a 90, 120, 150, 180, right? Then will be 210, and then 240, and then what's the next one? 270 and 300, right? So I'm going by 30. So the very first thing you need to do is check the intervals, right? Make sure that you are not going to skip anything. So let's go ahead and find the first one. It's 1 and 55. So this is 1 over here. Now 55 would be a little bit less than 60, right? Which it would be somewhere over here. And I think it's off already, right, guys? I see it like that. What about 2 and 110? Well, this is 2, and this will be 110. It has to be less than 120, right? Look, it's like way off. So A cannot be my answer, right? Let's go ahead and do B. I have 1 and 55. This is 1, that's a 60. And 55, yeah, it's a little bit less than that, right? Now, I didn't write all the numbers here, but it's we can go ahead and do that. So I need, that's 30, 60. I'm not going to write 30. This will be a 90, right? We said that. Then this is 120. This is 150. This is 210. And I'm going to stop on that one, right? So let's go ahead and find 2 and 110. This is 2 right here and go up. This is 120. So 110 sounds reasonable, right? At least it's closer than the other ones, right? And then we have 3 and 165. This is 3 and this is 150. So 165 seems reasonable on that one as well, right? And then we have 4 and 220. This is 210. So 220 sounds reasonable. So far it looks like B is the answer, right? But let's go ahead and check C. So I need 1 and 55. So this is 1. That one looks like it's 60. So we're going to write it down over here. Then we have 2 and 110. So 110 needs to be less than that because that's 120 already. Then we have 3 and 165. This is 3. And notice how 180 is over, it's like there. That's 180. 165 needs to be a lot less than that. Remember that this is 120. This is 150. So 165 needs to be somewhere here. So it is kind of close, but I see it is still not on the line, right? And then we have 4 and 220. So this would be 4. And this is 180. This will be 210. So 220 needs to be here. And nope, right? So that's kind of like close to the line, but no, that's not the answer. And D is, I can tell D is not going to be an answer because it's a flat line, right? So I can see that 4 is supposed to be 4 and 220. It has to be like way over here. You see that? So the one that is the closest for us is letter B. Very good. Now again, you can go back to see if you still have doubts. But to me, it looks like 1 is at exactly 160. Then 2 is at exactly 120. You see that? So I know that cannot be my answer. So my answer is letter B for that one. Very good.